Okay, I'm really excited about the topic for today, which is going to be in-person gatherings. My love language is touch and words of affirmation. And so when I can physically hug you and squeeze you, it makes me really, really happy. And that's been my hardest thing about the last few years, being, using Zoom as a replacement for in-person. But I'm so thrilled that we have been doing in-person for a while now, and it's been amazing. And we want to share some tips and tricks and all learn from each other. I know I learn every day from everyone. So I don't think any of us are the expert all the time on everything. So we hope that we can give you guys tidbits that work for everyone or are helpful for everyone. So with that, I think I'm handing it straight to you, Sherry.
Yeah. Okay. So we just kind of want to talk a little bit about why it's important to gather. So we've been doing this Zoom thing now for 3 years. And I think that, okay, I'm really glad you're here. Okay. I don't want to throw shade on this Zoom class because I'm glad that you're here, but we are kind of tired of it, right? I mean, if everything we did was on Zoom, we're screened out. And so people are ready to get back together. And so what I'm finding, I've been teaching classes locally here since every single month. I think we've had at least 3 or 4 classes since last October. And I'm finding that people really crave connection, and they are just so happy to be invited. They're so happy to be a part of something. And so we want to share that with you. We want to say, hey, encourage you to get people together because your people are also craving connection, and it's going to help you to build community again. And I do, to be honest, I do feel like we had a super tight knit community here in the area where I live. And then with 2020 and kind of the separation, to be honest, that's really, sorry about my dogs. It's taken a hit. Okay. And so getting people back together, to be honest, it's taken a little bit of work, right? Because we've lost some people, shall we say, and that's okay. Because the other part of getting people together is that you're going to find new people, right? I always liken it to a restaurant. If I opened a restaurant and I had a big opening and all these people came and these are my people and I'm so happy they're here. If these were the only people that I served, I'm not going to last long because people are going to move. People are going to change the way that they eat. Things are going to change. And so it's going to dwindle down. So if we're not always bringing new people in, we are going to notice that our community shrinks and gets smaller. And so one of the ways to make sure that your community, is growing is that you're having events and you're always inviting and reaching new people. So I just want to share that with you and be I hope you're yes, I'm totally with you. Let's get started. Let's have some gatherings, right? So we're going to talk with you. We're going to share some of our best tips. We've divided it into inviting. We're going to talk about hosting, the types of events, how to leverage your event and make the most of it. And so we're going to kick this off with our best tips about inviting. And so I'm going to let Allie share. We all had some ideas. I know Melissa's going to chime in here with some tips as well. But I'm going to let Allie kick it off with the way that she personally invites people to classes.
Yes. And I don't have 100% response rate. So let me just first say that. And I think the expectation should not be that anyone get 100% success rate in inviting people, first of all. But I think there's a lot to be said in how you invite people. So for me, I like to make just a cute little graphic on Canva. I'm just personally very obsessed with Canva because I can make things pretty. And I like to create a theme that is not Essential Oils 101. So I like it to have a cute name, even if it is a 101 class, which I teach a lot of 101 classes, still teach a lot of 101 classes because I feel like that's the best way to really continue to grow your business. So are we talking about, did I skip ahead on what we're going to name things?
A little bit, but that's okay.
I'll come back. We'll talk about cute names in a minute. But let's talk about, so you come up with your idea and how do you actually get people to the class? So for me, I like to message people best. This is from my former life when I had a ton of different clients. I found that my clients all had a preferred way of communication. In fact, I used to ask them, how do you prefer that I contact you? Phone, call, text, or email is what I used to ask my clients. And I think of it the same way now, is like, does my friend like to call me, or does my friend like to text me, or does my friend prefer emails? And so I like to reach out to people in the way that they reach out to me. And then I like to phrase things in the personality type of my friend. So I'm very obsessed with the color personality types. I don't know if anyone else has studied the 4 color personality types. If you haven't, there's a sidebar for you. Instead of watching TV tonight, just do a little search on the 4 color personalities. It will change your life and the way that you communicate. I use it to motivate my children. I use it in all different ways. But what I find is that people have it's a very simple way to think about it, is that people are motivated in one of 4 ways, if you're going to make it very simplistic with the colors. Some of the other ways are not for my color personality. Is too many different personality types for me to think through it quickly in my head. But I know if I'm talking to someone immediately, thank you, Sarah, who is very soft-spoken and very calm and very kind, they're a yellow. They're a yellow, they're always a yellow. So what are yellows motivated by? They're motivated by helping people. So if I'm going to vote to invite a yellow to one of my classes, the first thing I'm going to say to them is, oh my goodness, you've been telling me about all these people you've been trying to help in your life. I know that your kids have had these issues and I know you want to help them. I really think you're going to find solutions in this class to help the people that you care about. If I'm talking to a blue, we're going to have the most fun people. It's going to be the best time. It's going to be fun. It's so fun. That's how I'm going to talk to my blue friends, right? If I'm talking to a red friend, I'm going to say, you're going to get everything you need. It's going to be super organized, and it's going to be like exactly what you're looking for in a short period of time. You only need to come for an hour, like get her done, right? And if I'm talking to a green, I'm going to say, you're going to have so much information. Like, we're going to give you all the information, and then we're going to give you more resources so that you can do your own research with even more information, right? Because greens love to research and study. So that is like one of the biggest things that I found really resonates. And if I'm going to write an invitation, wording that I don't just broadcast invites. Most importantly, I like to personally invite each person. Even if I set up an evite, I'm going to then reach out to every single person. If I do an evite, though, my wording is going to hit every color personality. So I'm going to have a bullet for each color personality. It's going to be fun, and we're going to have mocktails, and you're going to be able to help other people. So I'm going to basically put into words those bullets of how to help other people. If I'm going to put it in a Facebook group or an invite email or whatever it is, I'm going to hit on all those color personalities, or if I don't know someone's color. Okay, that was very long, but I think it's really important to think about how the wording that you use when you invite people to get them there.
Yes, I agree. I don't know, Melissa, if you want to jump in at any time, or if you want me to go before you. I just don't want to talk over.
Well, my video went off and it says I can't turn my, okay. Oh, and now it says I can start my video. It said that host had disabled video, so I wasn't sure.
I didn't think you could see you were on camera, and you were like moving around, and I was like, I'm just
okay. The host has asked you to start your video. Okay. Okay. All right. There we go. Sorry, I am in my van sitting. My girls are in piano lessons, and it's really bright where I'm sitting, and I feel like I'm
you look beautiful. It's
squinting a little bit.
Perfect.
But anyway, where was I at? What was I supposed to talk about? Texting?
Yes. Calling and texting.
Inviting, however you invite.
Calling and texting and inviting people. Yes. I love what Ali said, and I really agreed with that so much on personalities and crafting invitations to fit specific personalities. I do try to post when I'm having an event. I do try to post it in a group or on my Facebook feed to catch the people that might be interested that I have not personally invited. But I totally agree that the personal invite is very important. And I like to use Project Broadcast. I've set up that system, and I have a list like just for people who are interested in the business or just for people who are interested in product. And so I can send a Project Broadcast out to, the 30 or 40 or 50 people that wanted to hear about the local event or the business Zoom or something like this today. I actually sent this out an hour ago saying, join us live in an hour, because I realized how much I appreciated when Young Living did that for us, when we were having Zoom calls. I'm a busy mom of 5 kids, homeschooling. And so all day long, it's like one thing to the next, and it's so easy to forget things like Zoom calls if you don't have alarms set and, reminders of some sort. So anyway, Project Broadcast is great. Honestly, I'm not a huge phone call people, but I know people that are. And so if you know somebody who's a huge phone call person, or if you're a phone call, you love making phone calls yourselves, this is your strong point. Get out there and, make the phone calls. I had a class last week at a little sweet shop, and it was a really fun location. Forgive me if I'm getting ahead a little bit, but I didn't have to do any prep work. I didn't have to clean. All I had to do was invite people and show up. And we told people, we didn't even rent a back room. We just all showed up, and if people wanted to get food, they could, and if not, they didn't have to. I got there a little bit early to get my food so that I wasn't eating while I was talking. But it's expected. I've learned to expect that whenever I have an event, not everyone is even the people who say they're coming, you're going to have a percentage of people who cancel last minute because, their husband got stuck in traffic on the way home from work, or the dog threw up on the way out the door, or whatever. So just expect a few last minute cancellations. And if you only have a few people coming, it was a small group, and you have a couple cancellations, you might be sitting there looking at yourself. And, which is one reason I will add that I like to do it with another business builder. So I like to link arms with another business builder, or 2 or 3, and be like, hey, you invite your people, I'll invite mine. And that way, if no one shows up at the sweet shop, or if it's a location like that, you can turn it into a little meeting all by yourself. And as a leader, I've just learned to pivot. And so if in the situation that happened last week at the sweet shop, all of the people who wanted to come to learn about the products and the new things canceled. And so we ended up having a little chat about more of a business slant, because those of us there were wanting, the ladies were wanting updates and new literature. I had some of Aaron Rodgers' books along, so I gave them to her. But I feel like I'm getting long-winded, and I think it's back to Sherry.
Yeah, I'll take it
Okay.
back.
Interject for just a second, Melissa, because I want to add something onto something, build on what you've just said about, you will have people who won't show, and sending reminders, is that sending someone an invite one time is just not enough. Especially if you're going to do a text or an email, you may need to invite them a different, maybe you send a Facebook Messenger, or you send a voice message, a voice note, or do it in a different way. And then if they've committed to coming, I'm always sending a reminder. So just a quick tip for me, I very much utilize the Notes app in my computer and my phone. I happen to have both Macs, so they sync, and that's beautiful for my life. But if you just have one or the other, that's fine too. But I'll have a note of who's coming to the class, so I know quickly who I need to message really fast. So that helps my brain be very organized, because green while I'm wearing it is not my color personality. So I have to force myself into functions that are more green type functions, very organized functions. So I use that Notes app a lot, and I keep a running list on my phone of people who told me they want to come to classes, so that I can make sure to invite them to the next class. And so I'll just keep that. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Notes app, if you have an iPhone, there is an option to pin a message. So if you want to pin a note, you can keep certain notes pinned. So I keep a note of people who've been wanting to come to classes. I keep my loyalty rewards running list, because we have 4 people in this house who have loyalty orders, and I can't keep them straight. So those types of things really help me stay organized, so that I can be, I want it to be authentic, but I need structure to help me be more authentic self. And I think Stacy might have something she wants to chime in on too. Is that true, Stace, on inviting?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one of the things that I like to do, I live way out in the country, and so sometimes I have a little bit of a difficult, especially in the winter, getting people to come all the way out into the country. It looks very daunting when it's snowing and icing and everything else. So I rent an Airbnb in town when that happens, and I invite people to join me at the Airbnb, and that worked really well last year. And also, if you have people that are from out of town, let's say you have even leaders that are out of town, but they're like only about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, but it's too far for them to come at night, and then drive home. If you have an Airbnb, or if you have space in your house, I mean, with an Airbnb, it's a little less intimidating if you have, if you don't know them that well or whatever. But everybody can kind of spend the night, and you can have some brainstorming sessions. It's a good time to bond with your team that way. And it makes a space that is, everybody feels like, oops, but it still feels like a home. Usually people think it's my house. They don't know the difference. They're like, oh, I love your house.
Awesome.
So that's another way. Also on the, I wanted to kind of confirm the whole thing with the invitation. Don't just throw it out there on Facebook and expect that your friends are seeing that, because they're not. And even if they do, it's a public invitation. It doesn't feel personal. They don't really feel invited, actually.
Yes.
They don't feel like you saw them. It's just an invitation. And if they don't know you that well, they're not just going to show up at your house because you set out a public invitation, unless they're very, very red or very, very blue. But they want to feel seen and heard and recognized. Also, think of people that are related to the topic you're teaching. If you're teaching a prepping class, who's going to connect with that, and make sure that you specifically reach out to them, preferably with a phone call. I mean, not everybody likes phone calls. So if it's a busy mom, tread carefully with that. Maybe a text first that says, hey, can I give you a call? But make sure that you let them know this is what's going on here, and this is totally for you. This is right up your alley. I knew you would want to be here. But the big thing is to make people feel special, make them feel thought of, and they're going to want to connect.
Absolutely. Stacy, you said one other thing I want to just again compound upon is if people are not phone call people, I always text first. Can I call you? I love that. And I love the voice notes, sending people voice notes. If I just want them to hear my, I think the authenticity comes across much better if you can hear someone's voice. So I love to send that in whatever tool, whether it's Instagram or Facebook Messenger or text messenger, it's available everywhere. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. And I think we're moving on now to event ideas.
Hey, I still have things.
I'm so sorry, Sherry.
That's okay. Okay. So, Stacy already hit like my social sharing point is that don't just throw it out there once and think that everybody sees it. You need to make sure that you share over and over, but just sharing that I'm having this event, like she said, number one, people don't feel like they're invited. I remember somebody telling my husband, they were at dinner while I was teaching a class, and she was like, hey, next time Sherry teaches a class, I want to come. And he's like, well, she's teaching one right now. And he said, she put it on Facebook, and she was like, yeah, but I didn't think that was for me. So that was a real kind of gut punch to remind myself that people don't think it's for them. I do think that stories wasn't a thing then. So stories now you can speak and talk a little bit more. But don't just say, I'm having this class. You need to build up to it. People are only going to come if they feel like they have a reason to come. How is it going to help or benefit them? So in your stories or your posts, make sure that you're kind of alluding to how this is going to benefit them. The other thing is to remember that email is not dead. I do not care what anyone says. If you open up your email box, you will see Target and Amazon and Williams-Sonoma and Pottery Barn and all of these other companies email you 500 million times a day. And if email was dead, they would not be spending the money and doing that. So they do it because it works. And so don't forget to email. Now this is my job. if I had a job, a 9 to 5, where I went to a building and I sat down, probably the first thing that I would do in the morning would be check my email. And a lot of people do that. So don't forget the power of email. Me, like, I'm terrible with email, but there are a lot of people who rely on it, check it all the time, clean it out. Like, I don't even get that, but okay. So don't forget about email. And what is that, sir? Was it Evite? Like, I've done that before. Like when I was having like, kind of like a supper club, where I was having people over to my house, I did an Evite and it was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh, people are responding to this. This is amazing. So don't forget about those things. And then, we did sort of touch on what happens when no one shows up, but I want to like make sure that I also tell you that, I have classes where people don't show up, and that doesn't mean that we quit. We just keep going. We take that time. Sometimes I've taught a class, Cross on Leader and I have, we've taught classes. Some of my team leaders, we've literally just turned on Instagram Live and taught the class right there, or have a planning session. So, okay, now we can move on, because yes, we need to move. So next is hosting.
Yes, so we were going to talk about just, oh, you're up first. You're first. Go for it, Sherry. Sorry, following my list.
Okay, well, I don't know that I am, but okay, keep it simple. All right. So when we host, all right. So I love to host, and I hesitate to even say this, but I even have like a classroom studio that I have set up here. You don't need to do that. It's just what works for us here and has, but keep it really simple, because if you keep it simple, people know that they can copy and duplicate what you're doing. If they show up to your house and you have this massive spread and everything is pristine and you have a jillion products sitting out, they're automatically thinking, well, this is fun, but they're not thinking, I can do this. You want someone showing up going, oh my gosh, I love these oils. Hey, I think that too. Hey, I already knew that. That's awesome. You know what? I could do this. My friends need this. I could do this too. And so you want to just keep it simple. You don't want to go into debt for your class, right? So you don't want to buy a bunch of stuff that you don't need. You just want to keep it simple. And like Stacy said, like if your house is not a place that you want to host people, or you feel like you can't, first of all, I don't want you to feel that way, because you don't have to have like these Instagram perfect houses to have people over. Okay. You do not have to do that. But if you're like, oh, my husband is sleeping because he works the night shift, I can't have people over, or, I have this dog that's going to eat everyone. I don't know, whatever your reason is, there are always other places to host. You can go to Panera, you can go to coffee shops. Stacey's idea of renting an Airbnb, in the middle of a remodel. There are a million reasons why maybe meeting at your house doesn't work. And also you could maybe have a class at one of your members' houses. So other options for hosting.
Love that. I love that. And I love, I actually prefer to, I will happily host events at my house, by the way, and I love doing it around either my kitchen or my dining room table. I don't have a separate room. I just use what I have. But I love the fact that if I'm having someone else host it, then they're going to bring their people and they're going to want to invite their people. And that's what we want, because that is how we grow, right? And that's how we actually help people. We can't help people if they don't have oils in their home. So one of the, as far as simplicity, I'm the queen of simplicity. Like if you come to my house, I don't like stuff. I like things clean and tidy, because my brain is not clean and tidy. So that's how I function. And so the things that I like to do is I have just a bin, a box, just a little crate that I keep all of my class stuff in. And what I keep in there is super simplified. I keep the 4 main starter kits that I always talk about, which would be the essential oil starter kit. If you are new, do not throw out your kit. Save your kit. Save your empties, because they still have a smell. So I never refill the oils in there. If they're empty, they're empty. You can still smell them. I just want people to get the smell of them. I keep I keep my empty CBDs that make up a starter kit. I serve Ningxia Red. I don't show that, and I'll tell you how in a second. And then I have the Thieves starter bundle. I actually just bought that on my loyalty, and I just put all my empties in there because we use all those products anyway. You do not have to do that. That is just what I do, because I'm a very visual person. So for me, I like to see things. So that's like my class in a box. I have my script in there. I pull out my script. Everything is there and ready to go. What I serve, if you come to my house, you'll see that I never have an event during a mealtime ever. I will always have it at just after lunch, just after dinner, or just be like early enough that you're not expecting dinner. I might have a bowl of like nuts. But what I serve is water with some citrus oils, and then I serve Ningxia cocktails. I literally went to the dollar store, the real dollar store, and I bought these cute little stemless champagne glasses that are glass that are dishwasher safe. And I serve like a half an ounce of Ningxia with a sparkling mineral water from Costco with lime oil. And it is so delicious that everyone who drinks it wants to always drink Ningxia for the rest of their lives every day. And it doesn't cost me that much money. And I want them to experience it, because for me, I never drank my Ningxia until like a year after I started with Young Living, because I hate tomato juice. And to me, it looked like tomato juice. So I want people to experience the actual flavor of it instead of assuming from the packaging what it tastes like. So that's how I simplify for my classes. That's super easy. Same intro script every time. Sherry, do you have, I think you talked about the other stuff. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Melissa?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say on the whole house situation, we moved 3 years ago. And before that, I had a beautiful situation where I had a sliding door and I could close it, and then everyone could walk back to the bathroom in this big, beautiful office. But now that we moved, it's a smaller house, and with 7 of us in it, it's just really hard for me to do events in my home. And so I've had to get super creative and think outside the box. And I just wanted to encourage people to do that as well. For a while, I was doing meetings at one of my Gold's houses. She had a huge kitchen and long kitchen table, and we could all sit around the table. Then she moved and that wasn't working anymore. And so it's just a matter of constantly reinventing what we're doing and thinking, okay, what's going to work now? I have an event coming up in May that I'm really excited about, that is actually at a florist shop. And the florist redid a space, and it's somebody that I, a local friend, but she was advertising that the first 3 people to book events in her space will get a flower bar for free, which means people can pick flowers out of buckets and make their own arrangements and take them home. And so I actually have a floral background, and I was so excited about that, and I jumped on it. And so we're doing a ladies' night out in May at the florist space, and people are we're going to do skincare and pampering, and then they're going to end Ningxia drinks, and then they're going to be able to take flowers home. So like I said, just get creative. And I mean, I'm thinking like, hey, even what about like a pet store, or we have dogs, so like a place where pet lovers congregate and then talk about animals or pets, just like get really creative.
Love it. Sherry, you want to talk about getting the most out of the events?
Oh, we're gonna do types of events. So event ideas. So you wanna that's okay. I'll share one of my ideas, or a couple of my ideas for events. So the first one is, we have started making our events more interactive. We are finding that we get more participation when there's interaction, whether it's they're going to get to make a roller or whatever, and they know they're going to make something that's fun. But so for our like 101, which we're going to talk about creative names, but for now we're going to say 101, we are doing that in a more interactive style. So rather than us standing up and saying, oh, here's the 3 ways that you use oils, right? Like you put them on topically. We're literally going to pass around an oil and let everyone literally use it topically. Instead of me demonstrating how to make a scent tint, we're going to put Valor in everyone's hands, and we're all going to literally do the scent tint ourselves. Rather than me talk about the diffuser, I'm going to have one. I'm going to let somebody come up and literally pour the water in, put the oils in, and like, we want them to actually do, if that makes sense, so that they can get the oils on, experience them for themselves. And so anything we can do where we're making it interactive, the better. And so that's one of the things we've been working on, is like, how can we make more interactive events? So the other thing is to think about your audience. and create classes that resonate with them. So my silver leader that I was working with the other night, we were talking about different class ideas and different things. And, you know, she works out and she is a nutrition coach. And so her audience is different than my audience, right? Like a lot of her friends, I don't work out, but her friends do. Like she teaches a class out. And so we started talking and we were like, okay, this is your audience. These are your people. Like create classes that you know they want to come to. And she's like, well, they really want me to teach a nutrition class. I said, then teach a nutrition class. Remember, your whole class, don't stone me, doesn't have to be Young Living, right? So she can teach nutrition, but she brings Young Living into that, where she's talking about the enzymes and she's talking about other things that, you know, supplements. And that's where she's going to hone in on that. We're going to do a class where we're going to have a mom's night out and we're doing Epsom salt foot soaks. So I'm going to have the Epsom salt. I'm going to let them choose their oils, put the oils in there, sit and soak. And while they're soaking, they are now my captive audience to talk about whatever, right? And so we're going to talk about things like dry brushing, but we're going to incorporate like cellulite massage oil. So you can get creative. And because I am finding that sometimes just saying I'm having an oils class, you know, I feel like 2013 to 2023, things have changed on how we do it. And so we're trying to talk about, like, I have people asking me about things like castor oil packs. I'm like, oh, love to teach you a class on that. And then I'm going to talk about the oils that go over your liver. So ways to be creative and interactive, reach your audience where they are, your kind of people. Like Stacey mentioned a prepping class. Like if those are your people, then that's the kind of class you should teach. So the sky's the limit when we start thinking like that, to be honest.
Yes, for sure. I love to have kind of rhymey names. So we were going to talk about creative names. I know that's kind of, or at least like they start with the same letter. I don't know why my mom used to do this, like when she would write poems and stuff. And so whenever she had an invite, I guess I just realized just now, that's probably why I do it at this moment, I realized. But like, I love the class I've had the most people come to is a cocktails and concoction class. And the cocktails are mocktails. I mean, you can have cocktails. I just find that people lose concentration with a real cocktail. But I love to do, or like tea and tinctures. I just did a class that was tea and tinctures and it was at tea time. And we did have tea, that we had Young Living tea, and we also had the mocktails and they drink both. And so anyway, I love to just come up with little cute names that aren't like Essential Oils 101 class, because that sounds really boring and unenticing to come to. And then obviously if you're doing a class on something that is specific, like, you know, animals or whatever, then you can come up with something cutesy like that. So I do challenge you guys to get a little bit creative with your wording, but not so much so that it causes analysis paralysis and you don't do a class. So like book the class first, start inviting people, and you can come up with a cute name later if you need to come up with a cute name later. It's totally fine. I just like to have a cute name. Okay, let's see. What else do we want to cover? Yes, you covered that. Anything else that, Alyssa, I know that you had PM'd me. Did you want to say anything here? Oh, I see you. I see you off of mute.
I'm here.
Hold on, I'm trying to.
Can you hear me?
Yes, let me just, yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm in my car. It's super bright. I love this topic. Events are just, it's so fun to see that people are doing them again. Like my team is on fire right now. Everyone is doing events all the time. And it feels like the old days. I'm like, yes, bring it on. So I just wanted to add something about the simplicity factor and just give a little more context about why simplicity is so important. So what it does is it creates duplication. And keeping things simple is what will allow your guests to feel like they can turn around and host an event themselves. I also recommend always having one event lead into another. So when people are leaving an event in your home or wherever you're hosting it, you could have a little like whiteboard out that says the time and the date for the next event that you're hosting, so that each event leads into the next and you're encouraging people to bring friends to the next one. And that way you just have some consistency and duplication. The other way to create duplication is to offer to show up and have the same exact event in one of your guests' homes. And that was exactly how I built my business. I would close every class teaching just the basic premium starter bundle by saying, if you would like to have a gathering like this in your home, I will come and teach the entire thing for you. All you have to do is invite your friends and open up your home and, you know, serve a little bit of food and some water. And it was like my calendar just filled. And it was just this cycle of like, yes, I was willing to drive. I was willing to show up. I brought my big bag full of stuff and showed up and would teach, and it just duplicated like crazy. But I also just want to share a tip, something I did for my team recently for spring launch on Saturday. I feel like I think some people have kind of forgotten how to do events because maybe you've taken a big pause and you've taken a step back from your business and you're like, well, how do I do this again? Or you're new and you're not really sure what to do. So I created basically a formula for my team for how to have an event on Saturday. And I'm going to take that and use it again because it just makes sense to do this. So if you have people, if you have brand partners under you and they want to know how to host an event, get a Google Doc together and just literally lay it all out for them. So I mean, I had details in the Google Doc that was like, how long to make your event, what you should put in your diffuser, a reminder to have Young Living hand soap in your bathroom and in your kitchen. Just little things like that that people might not think of. And then I had a whole folder for them with oily recipe ideas for them to serve. Super simple. Peppermint brownies, lemon hummus, just super simple recipes that they could just grab, like already there. They don't have to dig for it. Diffuser recipes already there. And then also links to content ideas. So many people are like, well, what do I teach? And you might not know this, but like we have Allie, over a year of classes on YouTube. So many classes, y'all, that if you don't know what to teach, you could literally gather your friends in your living room and play them a YouTube video. It's so simple. So you don't have to feel like you're the expert and you could just press play and pick a class that's like, you know, probably 30, 45 minutes. You don't want a super long one. You can even adjust the playback speed. Like for people like me, I'm like, I'm red, get her done. Adjust the playback speed to 1.2 if it's a longer class, if you have to, so that you don't lose your audience. And there's also been some awesome Gary videos that have come out recently. Have y'all seen those? Oh my gosh, they're so touching. And especially like the new people, they need to know who Gary was and hear his voice and connect with him emotionally. So share the link to the Gary videos that have been kind of being passed around on Facebook. But y'all, keep it simple. When you keep it simple and you give your team the tools to do this, they will feel like they can do this. They will feel empowered to do this. So empower your people to host their own events. That way, all the burden is not on you and duplication is the secret sauce. So that's it. Thanks, Allie.
You covered such a great swath. I love it. Love it. Okay. Do we want to talk about if you do a special class, creating a wish list or showing your QR code? I don't know I think Melissa, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I can talk on that. Just one other thought that I had, trying to remember. Oh, I always like to tell my hostesses when somebody's hosting in their home, it's that keeping it simple to me means that you keep the food simple and the cleaning simple. And when you think about how much time you're spending on prepping for this class or gathering or whatever you call it, you probably want to spend 2/3 of your time in inviting people and following up and 1/3 of your time in cleaning and food prep or whatever that is. So just to help people, just to give people an idea, like, okay, if I'm going to spend an hour cleaning my house and prepping the food, then I want to spend 2 hours inviting people and following up, because the invitations and the follow-ups and the reminders are really the most important part. So moving on to wish list, absolutely amazing feature. And I hope that you all have used it, but we can now log into our Young Living virtual office and click on the menu, and a couple of words down on the menu, you see the word wish list, and you can go in there, name the wish list, whatever you want it to be, and add items to it. And so if you're doing a class, like for example, a gentle babies class, how I keep that simple is I love using the tear pad sheet from Growing Healthy Homes. and we hand that tear sheet out, and then I can create a wish list called Gentle Babies or whatever I want to call it, and add the oils that we talk about that are on that tear sheet. And then I grab those oils out of my stash and we pass them around and smell them, because people always love to smell the oils. Like, that's so much of the experience, right? So don't leave that part out, but that's easy. So I currently, in my wish list, I have like 10 or 15 different titles, one on sleeping, and I'm not as good with the creative names. I'm just like, give me the basics, clear cut to the point. But sleeping, on digestion, on calming stress and nerves, and on any of these, you could add your whatever oils or supplements. So anyway, I got off this, but once you create this wish list, you can click copy link, and you get a little link that you can then send to everyone that came. So as a way of follow up after the class, you can just send a little text that says, thank you so much. Here's the link to the oils that we talked about last night. And then they can click on the link. And if they already are a member, add the items to their cart, or if they're not yet a member, they can create their account, and it has your member number or the member number of whoever created the link embedded in that link. So it gets credited to them.
Love it. So just as a follow-up, I'm going to talk about QR codes, because we have all of a sudden moved into the world where everything has a QR code, and they are so convenient. And so if you do use Canva, so for instance, I taught a hormones class, and I made just a little sheet, and I had like prepubescent, fertile myrtle type of, like this is your your baby making time of your life, and this is your post baby making time of your life. And we had recommendations for all three, and then each had a little QR code. And what you can do is you can make those wish lists on Young Living's website, and then copy the link to that really long link to the wish list. And when you make that graphic in Canva, there's a free QR code feature. It's free, right? A QR code feature where I have Pro now, so I don't remember which is free and which is not, but I think that it is free. And you just pop it in, and it'll put a little QR code there so that people can scan. And then also I want to show you, if you are in the States, and I'm sorry for those of you who are not in the States and you don't have the wish list yet, there will come. I promise you will get them. But also there is the YL Insights app is a free app where you can track your team and all kinds of stats, but they also have a link at the bottom that says sharing, with that little, that little square with the arrow, which has your QR code. So if you just want someone to get to your website, if you just want someone to get to your website, you could or I should say to Young Living's website and be connected to you as their enroller, then you can quickly just pull up your own personal link via QR code, and then you can just click that share button. So if I want to share it directly with my I just click. I don't know if you can really see here, but if I click the little share button, I can immediately text that to someone really quickly as well, or email it, whatever. There's a lot, all the different options that you have, Telegram, all the things. So it's super, super easy way to just always have that on hand, easy without having to go find your share link and look it up. But I also recommend always keeping your normal share link in your contacts under Young Living, with whatever other important information like your member number that you want to keep in there. Okay. I think that we're coming to a wrap here. Let's see. Incentive. Sherry?
Can I just add something about the QR codes too?
Yes.
Yeah, so during my classes, I usually have some kind of DIY thing going. So I make recipe cards for them to take home, and this is a good place to put your QR code too, because they're going to want to take this home. I also put the recipes on a sign, and I just put it on these little plastic things so that, so that it sits out and they have their hands free. But you could put a QR code with everything that's in here on the sign as well. Better yet, make the QR code go to the starter kit for your, with your referral link, and then use recipes that include all of the starter kit oils so that they see the value in the starter kit.
Yeah, Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. There was a question about when you get a QR code. So when you send from your Weil app, it's going to send you the QR code and the link at the same time. So you don't, does not work from a phone very well. At least I haven't figured it out yet. If someone texts you a QR code, but it also does send the link that you can just click on. So it does both for you. So you're good. Okay. So I think that we were talking about leveraging the incentives. The current incentives for hosting. Does one of you want to cover that? You want me to cover that?
Yeah.
I can.
Okay, either one.
Okay, well, I was like, I think when I saw this in your notes, Sherry, that you meant like the current incentive that I'm understanding that Young Living has is if you fill out the link for April and tell them when your 3 classes are going to be during the month of April, you get 3 points towards the Kona challenge. And so we had something similar to this last month, but I think it was a little different. And who knows what they're going to give us next month, but always be tuned into that. And I think it's a really great offer this month because, I mean, you only need 20 points for the Kona challenge to get a whole bunch of free oils, and it goes up from there. So just hosting 3 events will get you 3 points towards that challenge. Is that what you were referring to?
Yes, and the 15% off code.
Yes, the 15% off code too. That's awesome. And also just to piggyback on that is always letting people know that when they order a certain amount and when they order on loyalty, they also get those incentives too, the gifts with purchase, as we call it now. Different countries call it different things. I had my South African hat on. I called the right thing. For the US, it's called gifts with purchase. Okay, let's see what else. Anything else you guys want to share there?
Yeah, I was just gonna add that if you feel like I have a lot of team members who keep coming to me with, my people aren't building anymore. I don't know where to start. No one wants to host. And so I'm like, okay, wait. Just because someone isn't a brand partner doesn't mean that they can't host a class, right? Your customers can host a class. And so what I've been encouraging them to do is to look into their organization and just look for customers who have been on loyalty rewards for 6 months or more, or I mean, even 3 months or more. You can decide however you want to look, but you want to look for people who have been ordering these products for a while and they obviously love them. And you're going to reach out to them and let them know, hey, if you host a class this month, I'm going to get you a code for 15% off, right? You're going to help them with that process of getting them a code to be able to shop and spend that get 15% off their order. Then the other piece is, and this is like what you can do. We all are our own business owners, so we can do what we want to add to that, or we can leave it alone as is. So if you don't have the means to add anything to that, then that is enough. That is enough in and of itself. But if you want to sweeten the deal and maybe you grab some of those diffusers when they were, super cheap and you've got a little stash, maybe you say, hey, if you host a class, I'm going to get you a code for 15% off a shop order. And I'm also going to gift you a diffuser. Like however you want to sweeten that deal is up to you. But you can reach out to people and ask them to host a class. So don't feel like if you're like, oh, I don't have any brand partners or no one's building, that you can't start a fire somewhere in your organization with someone who is loving the products and just had never thought about hosting a class to share with their friends.
Exactly. I love it. I'm going to call this a wrap for the recording and then we can take questions. Good.
Yep.